This episode is part of our Australian established brand series. Today's beer is Foster's. Hello from Beer Australia Reviews, and today we'll be sampling, tasting and reviewing Foster's. Yep, Foster's. Australian for beer, they say in the USA. Now, the funny thing is, if you are an Australian of a certain age or younger, you've probably never even tasted Foster's, and certainly I have never had Foster's that was actually brewed in Australia, because it's just not a mainstream brand. I mean, it's famous, it's well known, but it's not widely distributed, and not many people that I know have even tasted the thing. This is actually the first time I've even seen a can of Foster's up close in Australia. So thank you to T, who bought me a can a few weeks ago when she saw it. Thank you, T. Now, the Foster's brand itself was first established in Melbourne by the Foster's brothers, who were originally actually from the USA, and they started brewing in the year 1888. It started to be exported around the world starting in at the start of the 20th century. In more recent years, the brand has been brewed on license around the planet. So if you are in the UK or Europe, in the USA, you've probably tasted Foster's, because it's available absolutely everywhere, but you've probably never tasted a Foster's that was brewed in Australia, like I haven't even at this point. The thing about brewing under license, when it's done with an Australian beer in the UK, you find that the ingredients are going to be okay. It's an okay beer. Foster's, especially, I used to drink the Foster's Export in the UK quite a lot. It's a nice beer, but you cannot say the same thing when you brew under license in Australia. I had the misfortune of having a Heineken last year or so. It was actually the worst beer I've ever tasted. Worst beer I've ever tasted, because you bring it to Australia and you make it with Australian ingredients and Australian water especially, it turns an okay product into an awful product. So when they take an okay product in Australia and export it and brew it under license in another country, it tastes better. It really does. Foster's in the UK is okay. I mean, it's not special, it's not a craft beer, it's not pretending to be anything big, but it's an okay beer, still though. Okay, so now, from the website, this one is 4% ABV, which is the same as what you get in the UK for the standard Foster's, and I think the same in the USA. In this one though, the hops are all Australian, so they have a variety of hops which is called Super Pride of Ringwood, which I think the Carlton group must own the rights to that one or something or other. Okay, now the Foster's itself is starting to become a bit more available across Australia, because the Carlton group have just started to increase the production and just started to advertise the thing out as well. So I would expect that more people will try the Foster's over the coming months in Australia, I'm talking here. But anyway, let's give this one a try. Let's see if it compares to the VB and the Carlton beers, if I can actually taste any difference between them. Okay, so let's give it a go. First time ever in Australia having an Australian Foster's, and it's open. Looks like a very ordinary lager. I can smell that basic lager smell from it right now. It's fizzy. Well, I am getting some aromas from it, but it's very ordinary aromas. Well, that one has lost its head rather quick. It's still very bubbly and very fizzy. It looks good, but there's not a lot of head on that one, although it's left a little bit of lace around the top. Now, is this going to smell like a basic lager? It actually looks, it sparkles. That's quite nice. It smells like an entirely ordinary lager. Has the wait been worth it? Has this wait of like 10 years in Australian time been worth it? It's got a very ordinary aroma. It hasn't got a lot of aroma. When I first opened the can, I got a little bit of a hint of basic lager, but right now it actually doesn't smell of anything whatsoever. But at least I had a little bit of a taste then. They've treated the water right on this one, so despite the fact of how bad Melbourne water can be, I find that the Carlton products, the VB, the Carlton, a couple of other things that I've tried, the water quality has been okay, so they're doing the right thing with it. I don't know how much malted barley there is in this, or whether it's just barley extract. It's probably going to be extract. The Carlton Brewery are not known for their wild ingredients, and also the hops. I know they use some hop extracts, despite the fact that they own or I don't know whether they own the farms where the hops are produced, the Pride of Ringwood hops. They tend to use an extract in their mainstream beers like this one. So it's got a little bit of a hint of a citrus on there, not getting any bitterness. Let's give it another go. Very little bitterness, tiny little bit of tang. It actually has less flavour in it than what I was expecting. I've tried VB recently, and that had a little bit more flavour in it. This one just has less. It's been that long since I drank Foster's though in the UK. It's like more than 10 years ago. I couldn't tell you what the Foster's would taste like now, because like memory's gone. I mean, it's okay. It's inoffensive is probably the best thing I can say about it. It doesn't have any sort of nasty quirks. It doesn't have anything that's particularly outstanding about it. But by the same token, it also doesn't have any like bad parts of it either. I mean, it tastes okay. I'm going to say this is probably one of the best beers for drinking in Australia on those hot days that we do get in places like where I am in Perth, where sometimes it'll top like 44 degrees centigrade. On those days, you need a beer that's easy to drink, and this would actually go down really well. I could see myself on a hot day in Australia, if I start to see this one in the pubs, which I expect we will start to see in the next year or two, I would be happy to have a pint of Foster's. So it's okay. Let me see if there's anything else in there. Oh, losing a bit of its sparkle after a couple of minutes. That's just about one of the easiest drinking beers I've ever had. Just got a tiny little bit of a hint of the Australian water, so I can still taste it. Because this beer is so bland, the quality of the water is even more important. And there's a tiny little bit of Australian water taste in that one. No bitterness, tiniest amount of bitterness. Relatively sweet, but not much character. So Foster's brothers from wherever they came from in the USA, who emigrated to Melbourne in the 1880s. I don't know whether or not you had any taste buds, but I definitely can't taste much in this one. So funny thing is about it, it's an okay beer. It just doesn't have any character. So an ideal beer to drink on a hot day in Australia. Would I choose this one if I wanted any sort of a flavour? No. If you want some flavour, you have to go elsewhere. Well, there we go. The Amber Nectar, Australian full lager. Well, if that's the Australian full lager, I think we need to drink a different one. The most well-known Australian brand on the planet, Foster's. Not very well known in Australia, but there we go. Yeah. Thanks for watching.